speaking of WandaVision, let's talk about it. We had a little bit of time to kind of sit on it, see some of the responses, and officially sort of talk about where we would personally place the series. In our like ranking hierarchy, I guess. I'm not gonna sit out here and give it a score because I hate scores because people tend to pigeonhole you into a score now. They're like, but you said it's a 7.5 and that means it's bad. It's like, no, a 7.5 is actually a good. Like, that is a above average, way above average, because average would be like a 5 or a 6, right? So, like, I hate the whole score notion, so I try not to give it, but I can kind of express how I feel about it, through words, and you can understand how we feel about a project, which is typically what we do on here. So, I want to take it to you, and where does this rank for you in the MCU? Because this is like, what, the 24th project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof, see, I think it's kind of difficult to compare it to everything else.
Yep.
Because there's places like Kind of Funny that are doing the whole MCU ranking thing, and it's like it's a TV show compared to a movie. I'm not entirely sure if I can just be like, oh yeah, it's clearly my number one compared to all the movies. But I'm not entirely sure where. It's definitely, if I had to do it, it's top 5 at least top 5. Personal bias taking over everything is my favorite thing they've done.
Okay.
Despite my slight issues at the end of it.
Yeah.
I'll go more into that in the spoiler cast with me and Sean Dunn.
Yeah, that should be out to normal people already on the channel. I'll have it annotated up there because the community members got that first. It's like an hour plus, and you guys talk about that. So
it would have gone on longer, but we had to stop it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I find it hard to rank and compare a TV series with more time and a different style of approach, premise, and completely different feel to anything else to what the films offer. Like, I mean, I have an MCU list that ranks all the Marvel shows as well. Like, I put Daredevil in there, like, season by season.
See, I've tried to do that list so many times on Letterboxd, I just can't bring myself to do it.
I have it, and it's rudimentary, and sometimes I'll watch something, and it'll pump up on my list, and I'll be like, oh, okay, this goes here now. I mean, but accounting for my bias as well, all the Captain America stuff is front-loaded, obviously. That's all in my top 5, so Falcon and Winter Soldier, I can tell you, that's probably landing in my top 3. I won't be shocked if that ends up being my favorite. Not, like, what I think is the best, but if that's my favorite, like you with WandaVision, you're like, look, personally, you can, even with gripes, you know where you place it. So, to me, it gets a little difficult to place it and rank it in the MCU, but if I was like, look, we're holding a sword to your head and this thing's going to drop if you don't place it somewhere, it goes right around the middle for me. And I know people are going to go, oh my God, he hates it. No, guys, the MCU is ranked, everything is good besides Thor the Dark World. So it only has up to go above that. So I'm ranking it in a great. So I love that.
So if it's in the middle, you've got it just outside your top 10. That would be 12.
Yep, exactly. It's somewhere right in there. It's maybe like 11th or 12th if I had to. Like, I'm going to watch it one more time because I've watched it like the first time viewing, then the audio comment. Okay, so I've watched it probably like 5 times through it.
I've watched this thing a lot. I've only watched it once all the way through.
Yeah, so
that's it. Like, I've only watched it once since the finale all the way through.
See, that's my next step, and then I think I'll have a more firm grasp on it. But it's somewhere in there in like.
I'll tell you what,
12.
It's a really good rewatch. If no one's rewatched it, go back and just look at how they handled that first episode, knowing what you know.
Yeah,
like literally the ending, like it's like wow, it's kind of like The Good Place. They really like the whole twist to it. They really set up straight away. It's like damn, it definitely does change that show a lot. I think I'm in a tough spot here because. You've got a list. Everyone's got a list, and they just go, "Oh yeah, I can put this thing here and there." So I don't have that. I actually don't have a list of my favorite. I've just got a rough, be like, oh yeah, it's top 5. What my top 5? I couldn't tell you what my top 5 is. It's just a thing you throw out there. Where would I put it?
Well, see, to me, it's like, I think like a top 5, let's say for everybody, gives you an idea of what that person is into, right? Like, for example, I asked my wife, I'm like, hey, Shay, what's your top 5 MCU films? And I guarantee you, not a single person would ever look at her list being like, is this a troll or I don't get it? She's like, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I know someone else who would absolutely agree with that.
Like and that, it's a rare scenario, but that gives you kind of a feel for what that person's into. And like, she's also into like Spider-Man. Homecoming is her third. Fourth would be like Far From Home. So like, she's clearly into the more comedic elements. It's like, that's cool. And then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, Endgame's 5th. I'm like, huh. Okay, it's left field, but all right.
He doesn't like Endgame though.
Endgame's
it's the ultimate payoff.
Yep. That it is. So that's kind of like, I think, a problem with ranking everything. And I've seen people already be like, oh, it's here or there. I'm like, I think we need a little bit more time to process some of these, maybe. Like, part of also the reason I don't place numbers on reviews anymore, it's just like, is that changes. That changes as time goes, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, depending on how long you sit on something. Again, Empire Strikes Back, that's a prime example. I mean, I've literally talked to my dad about it, and he was, he watched those when he was younger. And he was like, yeah, I liked Empire Strikes Back, and everybody said I was stupid. Because at the time...
Yeah, because that movie was hated.
At the time, Empire Strikes Back was like, they ruined Darth Vader because he's his dad, and it's just this whiny, blah, 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 blah. He's not even getting training. I mean, a lot of poetry, it rhymes with the fan bases and perception as well. So I always feel weird trying to rank something that's brand new, but WandaVision is so unique that I can't, it's hard to place it somewhere because it's not like anything else they've done. And for better or for worse, Falcon and Winter Soldier, no matter what they twist or toss in there, which we're going to talk about soon, what we expect, I know what I'm getting from that show. It's Captain America the movies in show form. Like, it's safe. So that one will be easier, I think,
quote,
to rank for me.
Safe.
Yeah, quote safe. So
I've seen people that listen to this say, oh, I get in fights by saying it's safe. We're not saying it's safe.
Yeah.
It's safe, but it's not. No.
It's a safe product because it's not risky like WandaVision. Like, WandaVision was the most riskiest project you could have announced.
WandaVision is an experiment.
Yep.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is gonna surprise a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely gonna be a conversation about that show, and oh boy, I can't wait for that one. If you think it's bad right now, give it a couple of weeks.
Lord.
Oh no. I'm just gonna stick with WandaVision is in my top 5.
Yeah.
It's easily, just for how different it is and how well they pulled everything off, it's my favorite thing they've done. There's a lot of biases in that, and a lot of this is so different. I really enjoyed it. The fact that we had this conversation for 8 weeks going, or 7 weeks from the premiere to the finale. And there was this conversation about this character of all things. I mean, and they've actually done what she should be like. She's not anyone's shadow. She's not attached to any character. She is her own thing.
And that's a thing, a couple years from now, you're going to look back on when WandaVision released, and you're going to remember all the theories and fond memories and discussions you shared with people. You're going to be like, that was a time, I
know people are mad that X-Men theories didn't come true in silly little Mephisto things. You follow me on Twitter, I theorized everything about this show. I was right in the thick of that.
Yeah?
Some was right, some was wrong. And that's just how the game works.
Yep.
You don't get mad about it. I had fun talking to people
That's most of the fun of this, because we've been doing that. I said in a recent thing I did, I've been doing this since Star Wars Episode 2 on the Force.net forums. I still remember my old login info for there. Dude, I was deep in that, early fandom exploding with the .com boom. So, it's always been fun. It's sometimes the theories don't come true. cool. Enjoy the ride. And for me, that's always going to be something special with WandaVision because, like, you saw everybody. Everybody was in on this. And, like, it turned out to be something special that I don't think a lot of people expected to love as much as they did by the time it wrapped up. Like, different corner of the MCU that we haven't really seen before. So, well, I guess we'll come back to it soon enough, though.